Hi friends, welcome to my channel. Welcome to Daily Code Challenge. All right, so it's day 15 of our Daily Code Challenge, and I'm so excited to be here once again. And I believe you are as well. Okay, today we have another very interesting challenge as we always have. Let me close day 14. What we have today, let me just reveal it. So our challenge today is write a function dynamic Fizz that accepts three arguments: max, num1 and num2. The function should return an array containing positive numbers less than max that are divisible by num1 or num2 but not both. If we look at this challenge, it's almost identical with yesterday's one, right? Let me just click on yesterday's challenge. So here it says define a function Fizzbuzz with a parameter max that takes a number and prints every number from 0 to max, not inclusive, right? That is divisible by either 3 or 5, but not both. So a good understanding of this challenge can help us with today's challenge. All right, let's see how we can solve today's challenge. Today's challenge is gonna be a little bit tricky, but I believe with patience and understanding of what the problem is, we should be able to handle it. The first thing we need to do is to write the function keyword like we always do, because we were asked to write a function. And the next is to write the function name, dynamic Fizzbuzz. And it says that this function takes in three parameters. The first one is called max, the second one is called num, the third one is called the second one is called num1, and the third one is called num2. After that, we insert the curly brace. So we've implemented these parts, right? Now we need to implement this part too, this part and this part. It says the function should return an array containing positive numbers less than max that are divisible by num1 or num2, but not both. All right, so here let's implement the logic whereby we are able to filter out numbers that are divisible by the arguments given to num1 and the arguments given to num2. So that's going to be num1 or num2, but not both. Thereafter, we now move to how to put them in an array. So we are simply going to do that now. We need to iterate. There's a need for iteration. We use a for loop like I normally do. I change my index to I. I remove array.length and also remove this line. Here, our start point is 0. 0. We can choose to start from 1. We can choose to start from 0. I don't think here it really matters, because if we want to iterate from 0 or from 1, if 0 does not match what the function is all about, it will not get returned. So starting with 0 or 1 is not really a problem here. Here we say let I equals 0, then I should be less than max, because it says here that the function should return an array containing positive numbers less than max. So we don't want the maximum number to be returned. We want a number less than the maximum to be returned, and not the maximum number itself. The next thing we do is we use the conditional statement like we did yesterday, writing the if statement. So we say if parentheses then curly brace. Inside this if, let's solve for numbers divisible by num1 without any remainder. So we say I, not 1, sorry, I modulus num1 equals to 0. Then put the and say I modulus num2 is not equal to 0. What this line of code simply means is this: we want to filter out numbers that are divisible by whatever argument we place as num1, and also it should not return numbers that are not divisible by num2, right? It does not want both to happen. What that means is when I remove the exclamation mark, this means that this is going to filter out numbers that are divisible by num1 and num2. But in this case, we only want one to be returned. We want just num1 to be returned. And that's exactly what we are going to do now. So we remove this equal to and then put the not equal to. If you follow along with yesterday's challenge, I believe this should really be very easy for us, right? All right, so we've implemented this. Then we also need to implement for numbers that are divisible by num2 and not divisible by num1. This one is numbers divisible by num1 and not divisible by num2. So we say, or we place this one in a bracket. Then the same thing we actually did here, we are going to do it here also, but with slight changes. We reverse this. This becomes num2, while this becomes num1. So we place this also in a bracket. We say I, not 1, excuse me, I modulus num2 equals 0 and I modulus num1 equals 0. Now let's console log the value of I and let's hit the save key. All right. Now let's give it some argument. Let's call our function dynamic fizzbuzz, placing in arguments. Let's use 20 as max. Then our num1 should be 2. Then num2 to be 3. I save this and I run the code. Let's see what we get. So here we have 0 to 4, 6, 8, 10 down to 18. How is that so? How is that so? This simply means that we are iterating between 0 and 20, where 20 is exclusive. And then we want to return numbers that are either divisible by 2 or 3 and not both of them. So here we can see that 2 is divisible by 2, 4 is divisible by 2, 6 is divisible by 2, and also is divisible by 3. So I don't think this works well because we made a mistake. Here on this line 11, we are supposed to change this. Okay, here because we say here num1 equals 0 and num2 should not be equal to 0. That means that we are filtering numbers that are divisible by num1 without remainder, and here numbers that are not divisible by num2. That means that here we have to reverse it here. Here becomes this, and then we change this part to not equal to. This should solve it. Let's run again. All right, so now we have 2, which is divisible by 2, 3, which is divisible by 3. Here we can see we have 4. 4 is divisible by 2, and we don't get 6 anymore because 6 is divisible by both 2 and 3. But the challenge says but not both. So that was why we had to come here to put this exclamation mark to negate this expression, and that solves it for us. But this is not all, right? The question itself says the function should return an array containing positive numbers. So we need to work with array here. We need to work with array here. How do we do that? We simply just come here, we create a variable name and set it to an array, an empty array. We say const new array equals this. So we just created an empty array and we called it new array. Then we remove this console log I. Instead, we push every value of I, every iterated value of I, we push it to this empty array by saying new array dot push. Push what? Push every iterated value of I. That means that as I is being filtered out, is getting pushed into this array, which is initially an empty array. So every I that we have here, that's 2, 3, 4, 8, down to 16, gets pushed into this new array. Then the next thing we need to do is to return this array. We just come to this point and write return new array. So let's see if this works. Let me clear this console and let's run. Okay, yeah, so we need to console log here so as to print out the values for us to see. We simply say console log this. Hope I'm correct. Then I run this code. All right, now we have 2, 3, 4, 8, 9, 10, 14, 15, 16. We can see that of all these numbers that are returned here, none of them is divisible by both 2 and 3. Let's check. Here 2 is divisible by just 2. 3 is divisible by just 3. 4 is divisible by just 2. Same to 8. 8 is divisible by 2. 9 is divisible by just 3 and not 2. 10 is divisible by 2 and not 3. 14 is divisible by 2 and not 3. 15 is divisible by 3 and not 2. 16 also is divisible by 2 and not 3. So this works fine, right? If we had not placed this exclamation mark and we left it like this, we'll be getting a different array. Let me run this. We can see that here we are having 6 here, and 6 is divisible by both 2 and 3, which is not what is expected, right? Also, that also goes for 12, and this is not the result we want. So we just remove this and then place it the way it was by adding the exclamation mark. Then we remove this console log. We don't need it. Then I save again and I run. So this is this. Let's try to also put in some different arguments. Let's say we have let's say we have 30, then here we have um 3 and let's say 7. Let's rather change this to 50. We save and we run. Okay, when we check this, we are going to see that every number here is not divisible by both 3 and 7, right? None of them here. Let's check. None of them here. So I believe our code is working very well, and this is the implementation I have to this code challenge. So at this point, I will just say thank you for coming around. and it's nice having this challenge with you. And thank you. See you tomorrow. Have a nice time. Bye.